welcome back to our channel. Today's topic is the pituitary gland or the hypophysis cerebri. It's an important topic in the head and neck region. In the head and neck region, we have already covered the scalp, face, parotid gland, and in the cranial cavity, we have covered the dural folds, dural venous sinuses, and also the cavernous sinus. So this pituitary gland will complete the head and neck topics. Next, in the head and neck region, we will continue with the extraocular muscles. Those who have not subscribed to the channel, subscribe now so that you will receive the continuation of the head and neck classes, histology, embryology. So many playlists in our channel. In our channel, we have another playlist, important anatomy in 50 videos. If you cover the 50 videos, we will be covering 60 to 70% of the exam questions. So those who have not subscribed, subscribe now. Now we will move on to the today's topic. Pituitary gland is an ovoid neuroglandular body. So it's partly neuronal and partly glandular. Suspended from the floor of the third ventricle by a stalk known as the infundibulum. It is called as master gland as it controls the other endocrine glands, but its name is a dove as this is under the control of the hypothalamus. Measurements: breadth is 12 millimeter, length is 8 millimeter, and weight is 500 milligram. It's a small gland. Fossa is having so this is the infundibular stalk, and this is the pituitary gland, and this picture shows the relation of the adjacent structures. It has a roof and capsule. Roof is formed by the diaphragm ocelli, which is pierced by the infundibulum, and it is continuous on each side by the roof of the cavernous sinus, which is formed by the meningeal layer. The capsule of the gland is adherent to the meninges of the fossa. So this is the hypophyseal fossa. Roof is the diaphragm ocelli. Capsule is adherent to the meninges. So this is the hypophyseal fossa. Hypophyseal fossa is present in the sella turcica of the body of sphenoid bone. So the sella turcica is made of tuberculum cellae plus hypophyseal fossa plus dorsum cellae. So that is the sella turcica. Presenting parts, it consists of anterior lobe and posterior lobe. Both differ in the structure, functions, and also in the development. But interestingly, both are together. Now we will see the parts of the anterior lobe or adenohypophysis. So we will draw the diagram. So this is the adenohypophysis, which will have a gland, which will have a cleft, and this posterior hypophysis or neurohypophysis, which will be continuous with the infundibular stem and the hypothalamus. So this is the diagram for the parts we will see. Anterior lobe is highly cellular and presents in cleft. The part of the gland behind the cleft is known as pars intermedia. The part which is embracing the front and sides of the posterior lobe. The part extending upward along the infundibular stem is known as pars tuberalis or pars distalis. So the part in front of the cleft is called pars anterior or pars distalis. The part along the infundibular stem is called pars tuberalis. So the anterior lobe consists of three parts: pars tuberalis, pars anterior, and pars intermedia. Posterior lobe, it is continuous above with the infundibulum. So this is the infundibulum, and this is the median eminence, and this is the pars nervosa. So these are the three parts of the posterior lobe. Anterior lobe and posterior lobe consists of three parts. Relations of the gland. On each side, cavernous venous sinus. So this is the cavernous venous sinus, and with the structures inside the cavernous sinus. We have learnt in the last class what are structures inside the cavernous sinus. In the lateral wall, oculomotor, trochlear, ophthalmic and maxillary. In the floor, internal carotid artery and abducens. So these are the on each side relations. In front, these cavernous sinuses in front are connected by the anterior intercavernous sinus, behind by the posterior intercavernous. So these are the in front and behind relations of the pituitary gland. In front, anterior intercavernous sinus, and behind posterior intercavernous sinus. Above is optic chiasma. This is the optic chiasma. Below is the sphenoidal ear sinus, which is separated by a plate of bone. So above is optic chiasma and below is sphenoidal ear sinus. So we should know the relations of these structures so that when this pressure effects of the pituitary gland in any enlargements, it will affect the adjacent structures. Now we will see the development. Development of pituitary gland itself is a separate topic in our embryology playlist. Now we will cover in short. Anterior lobe derives from the Rathke's pouch of stomodium of surface ectoderm. Posterior lobe from the floor of the third ventricle by the down growth, that will be the neuroectoderm. Now the blood supply of pituitary gland. The anterior lobe is supplied by the superior hypophyseal artery, which is a branch of internal carotid artery. So this is the superior hypophyseal, which enters the pars tuberalis, breaks into capillaries in the median eminence and the infundibular stem.